Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Powerful Man Show. I am your host, Doug Holt, with my co-host, Tim, the Powerful Man Matthews. Tim, what's going on, brother?
Yeah, I'm good. My camera looks a bit hazy. Doesn't look as good as yours, but anyway.
It's unfortunate for the people watching it on YouTube or wherever else they may be getting in.
Fighting a losing battle. Try keep up with looking as good as Doug Holt. Just
There's some fights you just shouldn't fight, and not because you're not going to win them. Just it doesn't make any sense. Well, Tim, what I want to do today, or we're going to do today, is jump in and actually answer some of the questions the guys have posted in the Facebook group. So guys, if you're not aware, if you're not a member of the private community on Facebook, it's the Powerful Man Facebook group. It is right now for business owners only. And I think we have, banging on the door, about 3,000 guys coming in there. Tim created a post asking, hey, what podcast topics would you like to cover? And several of you guys have responded. Now, if you're not in that group or you haven't responded and you have a question, go ahead and answer in that thread. You can just do a search under Tim's name. Maybe we can tag it in there with a hashtag podcast or something, Tim. But this one comes from Brad, and I'll leave Brad's last name out of it. But Brad says, Tim, how do you deal with a spouse who always does the tit for tat? And when you say something you didn't like, she can't just accept it. I'm not sure, but has to come back with something she thinks I do wrong. Tit for tat. I think it is very, very immature and have expressed how immature it is, but she still does it. I tell her, you aren't 10 years old, arguing with your siblings, and always have to have a comeback. So, Tim, what do you have to say to Brad?
So there's 3 levels of relationship, Brad. The first level is I'm in it for what I can get out of it. So, that might be the classic example of somebody that gets with somebody because of how great they are with the kids, and they're going to look after the kids whilst they go to the gym. And it's just super easy, right? When they're together, and it just makes their life easier because of how they are with the kids. The second level of a relationship is what you call horse trading. So kind of like what you're discussing here, kind of tit for tat. I'll do this if you do that. And then the third level is where your needs become my needs. So I get the struggle with this because I've been there, and I found it even more frustrating for me when I knew what was going on. So looking back, I've also been in relationships where I didn't know what was going on. Although it was frustrating, it was also kind of like ignorance was bliss to a degree. But the curse of being in this line of work is that when you know that something's going on and you know how to shift it, it can kind of even be even more frustrating when it does appear. And for me, this became a non-negotiable in my relationship with Amelia quite a while back. It came up. I can't remember the exact circumstance of how it came up, but she basically said that she would only meet my needs if I was meeting hers. And in order for her to want to meet my needs, then I must be meeting her needs first. And I said, hang on a minute. What do you mean by that? And she said, well, for me to want to meet yours, you've got to be meeting mine. And I'm like, whoa. No, that will not work for me. And it really opened up a conversation between us of what was a complete non-negotiable for me. It's a non-negotiable for me to be in a relationship with, and I shared this with Amelia. We didn't talk for a couple of days, and we, decided whether or not we could be with each other. I was that firm on my opinion with this. And I shared with her about the 3 levels of relationships and how I refused to be in a relationship where it was tit for tat. I do this for her, she does this for me. I'm just not going to do that because I know that it never ends well. And it is a mindset as well that you can get stuck in. And unless you're both aware of what's going on and you both commit to calling it out when it's happening in a loving way, right? But calling it out when it's happening and being willing to take ownership of your side of the street to break the pattern, and get back to prioritizing the other person's needs just because their needs are important to you, then yeah, if you don't do that, you're never going to grow together. You just aren't. Think about mud on a glass. Doug's mentioned this before. It's a great metaphor. If you think of it, when you guys get together, usually imagine a pane of glass between you guys, and the glass is clear, right? You can see each other clearly through the glass. But then over time, as things go unsaid or as resentment builds, it's kind of like a little speck of mud gets flicked on the glass. And over time, as it continues to happen, before you know it, you can't see the other person. I mean, she's still there, but you can't see her and she can't see you either. But the worst thing about that is if you were then to go your separate ways, chances are somebody else would get the best of her or even the best of you. So the idea is to be able to wipe those spots clean, hence why it's important to be able to bring these things up and discuss them, which Doug might go into, because you're right, it can be immature, but also the reason why you may be getting resistance to this when you bring this up is how you're bringing it up, which I won't go into right now, but that might be part of why you're getting resistance. And it could be other reasons as well, other ways that you may or may not be showing up. But I love Derek's comment. You can tell us an activation method. Be the lighthouse, stay in your power, don't react to her shit tests. So yeah, Doug, I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, I also want to give a shout out to Derek, who is going through the activation method. He's got some good insight. Great job sharing there, Derek. So I'm going to take a different approach. I think what you said is 100% true. And I think it's really important, guys, that you understand those 3 levels of relationship that Tim brought up and recognize what level you're really in, right? We all want to be in that level where, your needs become my needs, so to speak, or your wife's needs become yours and your needs become hers. And just see where you really are, though, where you really are. Are you in a transactional relationship? And most of us are, by the way. In fact, I would guess a made up statistic, like 99% of the marriages out there are transactional. I'll do this. I will take out the trash, clean the house when she gives me blowjobs, right? Or whatever, right? Whatever it may be. But I'm going to take a different approach to this, Tim, with Brad. And so, Brad, the way I would handle this in this situation for me in a practical term. So if my wife, if I said something that was bothering me, so maybe it's, hey, I hate when I really don't like it when you leave the car dirty, right? When you've taken it out and driven it. It's a horrible analogy, but you'll get where I'm going with this. And if she comes back and says, well, you leave the house dirty all the time, right? If that's her tit for tat, so to speak, I'm going to say, okay, we can handle these as 2 separate issues, right? They're very separate, and we'll address the house as well because it's obviously a concern for you. Let's talk about first the car, right? And that's how I would address those issues. I would actually separate the 2 issues away from each other and let her clearly understand that they're 2 separate things and that you're going to address her issue later. And the reason I would do it this way is you're going to be the lighthouse. You're leading it. Okay, got it. You're validating her. I hear you about the house, and we'll talk about it. But first, we're going to talk about the issue I brought up, right? And a lot of times the reason this happens isn't the tit for tat. It is tit for tat, but it's a power struggle, right? She goes into defensive mechanisms, right? She's defending. She feels the need for whatever reason to defend herself, right? She's feeling attacked, thus the defense. Now, this could be, most likely it's the way, all of us were raised. This is the most common pattern in relationships, right? Don't yell at me. Well, you yell at me all the time, right? It's very common, right? Well, that doesn't matter. I'm just telling you, I don't want you to yell at me. So it's a very common pattern. And so you want to distinguish what that pattern is and then address one issue at a time. And this is going to hopefully break the cycle. You're probably going to get some pushback here, Brad, on this. But the key is to stand in your power. And as Derek said, be that lighthouse. But stand in your power and really address that one issue. Look, we'll talk about the house. Let's talk about the car. So for me, I would prefer when you bring back the car, if you borrow my car, I prefer you bring it back in the same way or better than you left it. And here's why. It's very important to me, da. So you're not attacking her. You're just telling her why it's important to you. Here is what I want. Here's what I desire. And she may go back, well, you leave your car dirty. Great. Maybe I do. And we'll address that later. But what I'm requesting is that when you return the car, it's clean, right? You left it. And then you want to get buy-in here. You want to get buy-in from her. Is that agreeable? Is that something we can do? And she may say yes. She may say no. Go, great. Let's talk about the house. What exactly am I doing in the house that's bothering you? And so when I address this from this clear place of power, but also a place where I'm not irritated. So I'm not going into deer, what we call deer, right? I'm not getting defensive, right? I'm not explaining myself right there. I'm not reacting to what's going on, right? And I'm not excusing what's going on. So I'm not doing the deer. So D is defend, E is excuse, other E is explain, R is react. If I'm not going into deer, now I can have that conversation. And you said, like you said in your thing, I tell her you aren't 10 years old. That's an attack on her, right? You've just literally, I can see why she's defending herself because you attacked her again later on, and she's expecting the attack, right? If I walk up and I punch you every time I see you, next time I walk up to see you, you're going to put your hands up to guard for the punch. And that happens emotionally and verbally, especially for women. And again, not your fault. I mean, this is common. This is the way I was raised as well to do this, but it doesn't work. It's ineffective. And part of what we teach in the triadic connection, right? We have in the triadic connection, for those guys that aren't aware, it's part of the activation method. You have the triadic connection has got 3 parts to it. You have the clean slate method, right? You have the live like a king system that you're going through. And when you're looking at those 2 components alone, those allow you to wipe a lot of this away. Now, the hidden motives technique, the 3rd part, is really this validation part that I'm also throwing in here. Now, this is a modification of it, but this is how you get out of the tit-for-tat mentality. But you got to put your sword down. And that's the comment. I tell her you aren't 10 years old arguing with your siblings. That's a slap in the face, right? True. You're right. 100% right. But you're attacking her. You're degrading her. And so she's not going to receive the message you want. And at the end of the day, what you want here, Brad, is you want her to, really, well, one is you want love, connection is my guess, to intimate connection with your wife. But you also want your message to be received and understood. And just like an employee or anybody else, you want to make sure you do it in such a manner that, that she's going to be agreeable to it. And she's going to understand. And over time, she's not going to do the tit for tat. The car comes back. Just say you do this process that I'm explaining. 6 months from now, car comes back. It's not clean. Hey, babe, I thought we agreed. The car's not clean. She's going to say, oh, I'm sorry. I had this. I was running so late. I apologize. And that's going to be your conversation, right? Rather than this whole tit for tat thing. But you have to stop attacking as well. Right? If she goes tit for tat, just separate them. Boom, cool. Here's one issue. Here's the other. We'll talk about both of them. First, we're going to talk about the first issue that's brought up. Got to do it in a clear and calm manner. That is the key.
Yeah. The thing that comes to mind as you were saying that, women grow through praise, men grow through challenge. So just remembering that as you maintain the boundary as well, like Doug was saying, through the validation she'll feel seen and heard anyway. So it's similar to praise. I'm not saying praise her actions here, because obviously doesn't sound like there's much to praise, but I'm sure there's 2 sides. So I think what you're saying there, Doug, is on point. So Brad, if I were you, well, first of all, thank you for sharing, raising your hand and just being willing to put yourself out there for us to coach you on this. So kudos to you for that. You clearly got courage. And then second of all, if it was me, what I'd be doing with this is re-listening to it, making notes. There's a lot to unpack there. And in order of priority, what I would do first is do Doug's advice. Because the last thing you want to do, in my opinion, here is start bringing up with her the different levels of relationship when you guys aren't connected. So first get connected by addressing it in a way that's helpful. And by default, you'll again become closer. And then you can share, hey, have you heard about the 3 levels of relationship? Yeah, here they are. Yeah, I learned about these the other week. I'm curious, what do you think? Which one do you think we're at? What would a level 3 look like for you? And just start to have a conversation with her about it. And that way you guys might be able to come to an agreement around what level you want to be at and what might happen if you feel like you drop into another level. So then she gives you the permission as well to then hold her and hold you both and vice versa accountable to the behaviors that go hand in hand with being where you want to be.
Awesome. Great advice. And I'll just leave you guys with 2 more things if I can here, Tim. One is Brad, looks like you have a new baby in your profile picture, my friend. So congratulations on that. I'd imagine there's a lot going on, not a lot of sleep happening in your house right now, which can also cause some issues. But 2 is for all you guys, is if there's no intimacy or lack of intimacy or connection in the household, women will pick a fight just to connect. So remember that. If there's no connection, they will pick a fight with you just to have some connection, because even a fight and connecting that way is better than nothing. It's absolutely better than nothing. Mm-hmm. Awesome, Brad, man. Well, great post. What's that?
Well, pleasure.
Yeah. Awesome, Brad. Great job. And again, Derek, awesome response here, guys. Again, the Powerful Man is a movement of men, right? It's a movement of men like you. If you're listening to us now, you are involved in the movement, right? You might be on the periphery, but I want to bring you back into the fold here. Go over to that Facebook group. You got a question, post it in there, right? Tim and I will do our best job to work through all of these and get back to you. But what's even better than Tim and I is the fact that you guys are in there collectively together. And just like Derek did, he answered Brad's question, give Brad, quite honestly, some great advice here. To be the lighthouse, stay in your power, and don't react to her shit tests. Great advice. So that's what I want for you guys to be able to in there, create this community that goes way beyond Tim and I and the rest of the team here. Transparently, our job, or what we're hoping to do, is to create a movement of men so we're not needed, right? We can't help all of them, and we're learning as we go as well. So guys, get over to that Facebook group, drop a comment in there. Don't be shy. Don't just be a voyeur. Drop in something in there. And like I said, Tim and I will get back to you, as well as you're going to meet a lot of other great guys in there. Until then, guys, it's a wrap for us here at the Powerful Man Show. Make it an amazing week.